Okay, a much more brief video on an oil change right now. I'm just about due for my second oil change on this bike. This is the Ninja 300, obviously. And on the right side of the bike, you have your oil level window right here next to your brake, your rear brake. And then if you see down there, you have the engine drain bolt, which is 17mm metric. So take your 17mm socket to break that loose. Make sure you have your drain pan. Oh, the oil is almost finished draining out. It's just over 2 quarts. I couldn't find my oil drain pan, so I just used a bowl, which I'm going to use later to make pumpkin bread. So if you're ever at my house and I offer you pumpkin bread, don't eat it. And then you can actually reach through. You don't have to remove any fairings. If you want to avoid getting oil on the pipes, you can lay some paper towels on top of them. But it's not a big deal, it just burns right off. But as you can see right there, there's the oil filter. So you can actually just reach right in and grab the oil filter. Just in case, for your first time, it's usually too tight to take off by hand. So I do have an oil filter wrench. Most likely, since I put it on myself hand tight, I'll be able to get it off without using the filter wrench. But I have it just in case. Obviously, when you take off the oil filter, you want to make sure that your drain pan is, you move it to get underneath the oil filter. Because when you take that off, you're going to get a little bit more oil to come out with it. And you can turn it upright like that when you take it out. And I know some people don't change the oil filter every time they do the oil. I think that's stupid. Oil filters are like less than 10 bucks. So why not replace the filter? That's drained out. And I put a little catch pan underneath it too, to prevent it from spilling onto the pipes, because when you turn the bike on, it'll just smoke, the oil will burn off. It's not a big deal, but just to avoid that, I did go ahead and cover up the pipes. And when you put the new filter on, you can take a little bit of your new oil, which I'm using Kawasaki 10W48 oil. Take a little bit of your new oil and rub it around the gasket to get a good seal. Okay, you can install your oil filter. I do it hand tight. You can install it with a torque wrench if you so choose. You would need, it'd be a pain in the ass to get in there with a torque wrench. You probably would have to remove the fairings for that. On the oil filter, I don't think it really matters at all. Put it on as tight as you can get it with your hand with like a paper towel. And that's always been fine for me, never been an issue. And then for the drain bolt, which is right there, just tighten that guy back up. I would call it child tight, about as tight as like a kid could do it, like a 10-year-old boy or something. I realize that's really imprecise. You can do a torque wrench. I've done it with a torque wrench before. I've just never seen any advantages. I've never stripped an engine drain bolt, which would be a big problem, and I've never put one on loose. But once you got your oil filter tightened up, and then your drain bolt tightened up, we're going to go ahead and grab a funnel and pour in the oil. And this bike takes a little over 2 quarts, so I'm going to put in about 2 quarts, and then I'm going to check it. And I'm going to let it run for a minute, and then we're going to check the oil level then. And when you check the oil level, you need to either have the bike on 2 stands, front and rear stand, or put it on the ground and hold it up. You don't want to have it just on the rear stand. On this bike, it's going to make the oil level seem too low if you put it on just the rear stand, so it will cause you to overfill.